Hello everyone, my name is Ronak and you're watching Vector Art. In today's video, we will learn how to create a sign up or sign in UI in WPF using handy controls. So without any further ado, let's get started. So let's start first by opening Visual Studio Blend, or you can say Blend for Visual Studio, and click on the create a new project. Next, let's select WPF app with .NET Framework. Mine is in the recent projects. You can also go ahead and search in the templates. Click on next, give this project a name, set the location, and then finally click on create. Okay. Okay, now let's add the NuGet package. For that, go to Tools, NuGet Package Manager, Manage NuGet Packages, and in the browse, search for Handy. You will see the first link or the first package by handy.org. Select the checkboxes and install. Once the installation is done, the package will be available in your project, and you'll have to do a couple of changes to the app.saml file and the main window. I will explain you that. So now it is installed and it is appearing under the install tab. Now let's build the application once. Okay, meanwhile we can copy the resource dictionary from the documentation and open the Solution Explorer, and then open the app.saml file and paste the copied content under resources. Now next, let's build the application once again. Before that, let's copy the namespace and add it to the main window. Okay, now let's build the application once again. Done. Now let's see whether our controls are loaded. So if you go under controls, you will see a new tab called handy controls, or a handy controls section, where this whole lot of controls are added. You can explore them on your own one by one. You can also go through the documentation. I will only show you a couple of controls like text box. So let's start with changing the width and height of the main window. I have set it as 500 width and height as 450. I have checked the allowed transparency checkbox. I want the window to have rounded edges. So what I will do is I will enclose the grid with a border. So let's add a border around the grid. And move the grid inside the border and set a corner radius for the border as 10 or 15 maybe. Let's change it to 5 first, 10. Okay, and also for the window we'll have to set the background as transparent and the border background as white. Okay, so you can see that we have a round edged window. We also get this debug toolbar. We'll take care of it later. Now next, also we'll set the window startup location to center screen. That's done. So now all we have to do is design the application. So I will show you where the documentation is for this controls. So you can click on this link. I will also provide this link for you in the description. Okay, so you can translate the page. Sometimes it is auto translated, so you can click on the extended the controls. I'll provide a link to this as well, so you can see all the controls there and documentation for that. So let's first start by adding a text block on top. Change the text to create an account. Change the font size to 36 pixels and change the font weight to bold. Extend the text block to the window length and set the text alignment to center. Okay, let's add a subtext. So let's copy the existing text block and change the font size to maybe 18 pixels. Yeah, and change the font weight to regular and also change the text. We will also need a small text block next to it which will act as a link for the sign in page. So we'll do that. So we'll decrease the size of this, copy this text block, paste it, change the content to sign in, change it to our underlined text, also change the fore color to blue. Okay, and decrease the size of the text block and place it next to the create already have an account text block. Done. Next we have to add a text box. So for that we will be adding a text box, not the regular one but from the handy controls. So if you go under the handy controls, you have a text box. We are adding this text box because this has some cool animations and placeholder text options and also rounded edges. We can also do this manually in WPF, but since this is an library, it is custom made, so it is just you can directly use it. So this is the code for the text box in the documentation, but we only need the placeholder attribute from this. So what we will do is we have already added the text box here on the screen, so we'll just go and copy the placeholder attribute from there and paste it in this, and then add a placeholder text. So the first one will be the username, and we'll close the quotation marks. Okay, and also we'll increase the size of the text. Also we'll get rid of the text default text. Okay, and we'll increase the size to 18 pixels. Yeah, so let's make a copy of the text box for first name and last name. Change the placeholder text to first name, and for this third text box, change the placeholder text to last name. Now we need a text box for email, so let's paste that, increase the size and change the placeholder text to email. Now next we will need a button. Okay, so let's see if we have a button, custom button in the API. The library. I don't think we have a separate button. Let's try this radio button and see if it works. I think this radio button won't work. It is mostly a stylized version of the regular radio button, and it will not have those properties. So let's see if it works. I think it's better we use the regular button. So let's change the properties first, and then let's remove the radio prefix from the button radio button tag. Next, we have added the regular checkbox, and like we added the sign in text blocks on the top, let's add the terms and condition text block below. So let's make a copy of the text block from the top and paste it. We are also changing the fore color here to a dark gray. And the same thing here. Let's decrease the size of the text checkbox and copy the sign in text block and paste it below. And let's change this to terms and conditions. Or terms of service. Okay, so change the alignment to left so that it is there is no gap between the letters. Okay, let's once run the application and see if that radio button that we added works. So we can get rid of this toolbar by clicking on the remove visual tree. And you can see this placeholder text disappears as we start typing in, but see, this radio button does not work because it has disappeared. So we'll have to just use the regular button. So let's copy, rather than copying, I think let's get rid of the tag radio button and change it to a normal button. Yeah, and let's remove the style, and let's increase the width. Yep, that's done. So that's pretty much it. Now, yep, okay, so that's done. Let's group all these controls that we added into a grid and rename it as sign up. So now we want the sign in part, so we'll make a copy of the sign up and paste it inside the grid and rename it as sign in. And we'll make small minor changes to the sign in grid. For that, before we make the change, we will hide the sign up, and let's start making changes to the sign in. Okay, we'll remove the text boxes and move the email text box up, and we have one more control from the handy controls, that is the password box. This password box has two properties which are very useful. One is the clear, and the second one is the show password. So we will copy the height from the other text boxes and paste it to the password box. And now we'll go to the documentation and go to the password box link and see that code. We can copy that and paste it for the password box. And also we can add one more property, that is the show password, or we can say show I button. They call it the show I button, but basically it is the password that it shows. and we'll remove the checkboxes, and that's it. We have the sign in screen, and now all we have to do is we have to make the sign in hidden and sign up visible. There are two things that we need to do before we start animating. So make the we forgot to change the size of the password box. Now the sign up should be by default visible, and the second grid sign in should be by default hidden. Now let's add a storyboard, and let's add a keyframe for both sign in and sign up on the first keyframe. Add a keyframe and also add a keyframe for sign in. Now on the second keyframe, make the sign up grid hidden. So sign up should be hidden on the second keyframe, and on the second keyframe itself the border should be the border's width should be decreased. So we are doing this to get the look and feel of a flipped screen. So we will decrease the width, and on the next keyframe, which is the 1 second keyframe, we will increase the width of the border back to the original. And if you run this, you will see a flip effect. So let's once run and see. So but the animation is slow, so we'll decrease the keyframe by dragging the keyframes to a different location nearer to the first one, and on the final keyframe we have to make the sign in grid visible. Okay, so that's done. So let's close the storyboard and let's run the application once. So you will see that the animation is fired prior to doing any action. So let's add a trigger and set the trigger to fire only when you click on the sign in button. So click on the sign in button and change the window to text block and the loaded event to mouse down event. Okay, save this, and now when you run the application it will not start the animation, but it will only start the animation on click of the sign in button. So let's fill out some details here. Fill out the name, the last name, email. So hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, please do subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys.